I promise to have access. They weren't created on it. But yes, like. I don't like that one. What? Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
That way, somebody won't call you all the time. Yeah. Check, make sure.
We're gonna call the meeting to order. Can you stand for the pledge, please? Yeah.
I'm sorry. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Now it's the same, like all again.
Adriana, would you do the roll call, please?
Tanya Davis,
Here.
Ryan Rummel, Libby Wyatt, here, Fritz Spence, Vanessa Battaglia.
And we have a quorum. I don't think we have any changes to the agenda, so I'm looking for a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve the agenda tonight. What's today? 7/2025.
Sorry.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we need a motion to approve the minutes from March 17th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from March 17th, 2025.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? First up, so council will consider approving a special event request for Fortville Farmers Market to be held weekly from May to October with Ben Eades. Hi, Ben. Haven't seen you since last year. It seems like it.
Yeah, we just want to make sure it's okay again to set up that on School Street, not School Street.
Veterans.
Yeah. As the market expands, you know, that's a great location for it, and just needed the town's approval that we're okay to meet there. There's no real needs for it. Don't even need power, just a place.
You guys are gonna do it every week again?
Yes. From hopefully starting in May, if approved, through October, just depending on weather.
Do you guys already have vendors? How many? You have about the same as last year or?
We have more vendors.
Oh, good.
We're continually adding to that list.
Good.
So yeah, the goal is to have that whole space filled.
Yep.
That'd be great.
What type of vendors? Is it more produce or more like? finished goods?
Produce, baked goods, all home produced goods.
knife sharpening guy.
He retired.
Oh, no. We need a knife sharpening guy back.
We'll try to find.
Has the farmer's market thought about changing the way they do it? Like McCordsville has one a month in the cooler months and aren't there when it's so hot. And I feel like we lose participation when it gets hot.
I could definitely bring that up to the leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they'd be open to something like that. There was that was brought up in the first meeting that we had actually here for the interest meeting for the market this year.
Yeah. Greenfield, Main Street is having a farmer's market the same day, same time, but I feel like it's once a month,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, a lot of it is the vendors some of them rely on that weekly. They actually have people that come there expecting to get their fresh produce and other items every single week. So I know for them, they see the benefit
like
of
to do
that, but
Yeah.
it's not a bad idea to,
As long as it's a benefit for them. I just felt like there are a lot of really slow.
they've changed some of the requirements for this year for vendors showing up and making sure they're there week in and
Good.
week out.
Okay. Good.
Because that was a noted problem later in the year, but also on the hotter days.
Yeah.
Was there a banner that you guys were getting? I remember hearing talk about banners.
Yeah, they want to get advertising out. They've contacted some other businesses on the highway to see if we could utilize some of their frontage space to put a sign up at least the day of the market, if not for a longer term.
It'd be nice if it could stay up for a while. I think the location has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah.
Now that we've kind of settled on the location and people will start knowing a little bit more, it might get a little bit better that way.
Yeah, I mean, if the town has any space, we could put a sign up.
Well, I was gonna recommend, we've got the banners on the lamp posts.
Yeah,
If you guys wanted to purchase.
if that'd be
I'll say some.
doable,
Yeah.
that'd be
Joe
great.
could set you up or Andy could set you up with
Okay,
who we go through and it probably just needs to get approved through the town.
yeah,
And they're pretty nice. They'll
that'd be
hang it for you.
fantastic to have that space. Open down the highway.
Good signage, wayfinding.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
I make a motion to approve the event request for the farmers market starting May of 2025 through October of 2025.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, guys.
Next up, we have consider to approve the Redevelopment Commission's 2024 annual report. And I think Michelle is on, there she is.
Hi, guys. Good evening. I'm Michelle Davis. I'm with Krohn Associates. We are engaged with Missy and Joe to help out with the RDC report. I think we did it last year as well. I don't think we were not required to present it last year, so I don't think I presented to the town council, but this year we're required to present it. Do you guys all have it in front of you?
Yes.
Or have gotten a copy? Okay. So the first page is just the management letter saying this is what we did. We took the 24 RDC activities and compiled them into this report, and then we also have to file them on Gateway before the 15th. So we have already done that. We just have to check this box and present them to you guys. So I'm going to go on to the second page, which is just a summary of the members. And we're going to skip down to question D or part D, which is just talking about the grants that were paid out of the RDC fund. There was some for the facade grant, around 14,000 to the Schaefer family, 5,900 to Emerge Church, and around 28,200 to Kevin Crotchfelt. You guys do not have residential any residential TIFs yet. Then I'm gonna go ahead and scroll down to Appendix A, which is page 3. So this is the cash flow in 24. So we started at 3 million, about a little over 3 million, and received 1.69 in property tax increment, which was almost 300,000 more than we did in the previous year. And then we spent about the same this year, or in 24, we spent 897,000, and in 23, I think it was 896. So we're spending about the same. We ended this year at 3.8, which shows a pretty nice cash flow. I'm gonna go on to Appendix B, which talks about our debt, the debt of Fortville RDC. Right now you just have the Ridgeview West bonds that are developer bonds. There has been no increment on this received from the RDC yet. This is just one of those bonds that it's a developer back. So if the money doesn't come in, the developer just doesn't get paid back until sufficient revenues come in. And then I did look at the 24 pay 25, and it doesn't look like any increments coming yet either for those. So they might get paid in 25 pay 26. And then the last part of it is Appendix C, and those are just all the parcels in the area. The gross AV, the net AV, base AV, incremental AV of each of those. And then I guess that's kind of it. I know I went kind of fast, but there's really not a lot to report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
The annual report on the website. You're not getting the public see it.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
You want to repeat it?
He was asking if the report was on the website so the public could see it.
Yes, it is. We submitted it, so I don't know if, well, Missy submitted it, but I don't know. I know it's due on the 15th. I'm not sure if they can see it until after the 15th, but the public can see it in any previous reports as well. And this is really the same information besides the parcel list that is recorded in the annual financial report. So it's kind of duplicating it, but it's what the DLGF wants. So we will do that.
Anybody have any questions? No. Okay. Need a motion then to approve? Or whatever.
I'll make a
Yep.
motion to.
Okay. Very good.
I'll make a motion to approve the Development Commission's 2024 annual report.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Is that all you need? Did you?
Yes, and I'm gonna jump off unless you guys want me to stick on for any questions.
Oh, that's good. Thanks, Michelle.
All right, thank you. You guys have a great night.
You.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, next up, council to consider approving a design contract for trails phases 4 through 6. Joe?
Yeah, I can fill you in on this one. This is the project that Dave with our NPO came in and presented to the town council several weeks ago, I guess now. And that's something that the council determined that they wanted to move forward with. So I know Dave has been scrambling, and he's got me scrambling to try to get all the documentation completed so we can get a PO from NDOT in May. If we don't, then all those funds that he was going to give us will be lost. So if you'll remember at the last couple of meetings ago, I'd ask if the council would approve me to go ahead and expedite this stuff and move it right along. But it just so happens tonight, I had the contract today, and it's a good opportunity to bring it before you guys, let you take a look at it. The actual after Dave had met with the town council, he had worked on the scope, as far as the scope of the work, because he's gonna be able to get us 90-10 split, so we only have to cover 10%. So he included in the scope, and we RFP'd for not only the trails design, but any kind of environmental, traffic studies. It's got the intersection at Madison and Broadway, the intersection of Ohio Street, traffic study, looking for the light. And he also included part of the South Madison Boulevard down to the first block to High Street that would help connect all that together. Not that we have to do all that, but if we do it, and it's not going to be a one lump sum pay, it'll be, over a couple of years, we'll be making payments, and then they'll go on until probably for 10 years, trying to finish paying them for this. But the contract amount was $1,750,000. If there's any part of that project that, we don't want to do, we have a developer go ahead and do, it will save us those funds. The thought process behind including the intersection improvements at Ohio and Broadway, those are both things that the RDC is working on. So this is a project that would definitely be an RDC eligible to help fund this. So if you wish to move on, I need to get your approval, and then I have got to send a checklist to NDOT.
I got the last page, 29. So these are the completion dates, 2033.
Yes.
Wow. And this is the trail to.
Well,
the
if you
school?
remember, there was 3 sections of the trail.
Let's,
It was Broadway, and section 4 was, which was the first of this trail,
okay.
from Madison to Ohio Street. And I don't want to get these backwards because I don't know if the next one
Madison
is,
to Ohio.
one of the next phases is from Ohio, along Ohio on Broadway down to Windstone, tie the subdivision together. And then I don't know if it's a second or third one coming up. There will be the Broadway from Ohio Street all the way out to the Windstone entrance along Broadway.
Do you have a map with all these phases on there?
Yeah, they were presented to you when Dave was here, and I think sent to you a couple times. I don't have it. I don't have it
forgot.
with me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been a while since.
You'll
I've seen
remember
that
the,
map.
I think it was section 4 or 5 was labeled wrong or something like that, and we had to correct it. No, I didn't bring them out.
Okay. No, do me a favor, just send me the map later
Yeah,
this week. It's not a
absolutely.
big hurry.
Not a problem.
So what's the total cost of the town gonna be?
That is this contract right here is $1,750,000. And if we end up doing all of the work that's on here and they get the 90-10 split, then we'll be paying $175,000.
The map's on the email, Fritz, if you want to look it up. November 27th.
Seems like a long time. 8 years.
Well, didn't they used to say it took 10 years to get a project
Well, I'll
done
say
in the
that
past?
school- That started, we got our DES number in 2015 and it's still not done.
Almost 10 years.
And that's not
It's
even,
quick.
that's not even finished either.
Is it supposed to take that long? I mean, that's like one other example.
State and federal funds and jumping through all their hoops, it drags the project out a little bit longer.
But essentially, this wouldn't get done without those funds.
Correct.
So it's either nothing or 8 years.
Yep.
What was the phase that we were looking at, just going straight down Ohio to hook up Windstone by using, Bill Camus? across
That-
there.
That's one of the phases.
On this,
Yeah.
or 2033, okay, wow, okay.
Like I say, there's three
I thought you were
phases
talking
there.
about this one along Broadway to the other side where NDOT was going up. And this is running along Broadway, right?
Yes.
Okay, and there, what's the one, even if we got a shorter time, the one on Ohio, straight up to, the cemetery, go around the cemetery, then hook up that way?
That's 5, isn't it?
Could that be sooner if it's all public, that right there?
Well-
Bill's got some of it already built.
What was priced out here and looked at was to what Bill's got. It wasn't including all the way down what Bill's already done.
It's like halfway down Ohio.
So that is section 5, which that'll be the second section. It's possible they could do 2 sections at once. It's possible that, it's when funding's available, when they give us the funding and they can move forward with it.
It really sounds like it's forever away, but it's only 8 years. I mean, 2033 sounds like it's like 20 years away.
Okay. It's gonna be 8 years. Okay.
Phase 5 would be 2031, right?
But the price is right?
Sounds to me.
Yeah.
175,000.
Yeah.
10% of that is,
I'll be dead.
it's good for our part.
I'll be in a nursing home.
Yeah, I think it's
Make a motion.
a huge saving, yeah.
Wait and see if you had any more questions or anything.
No.
Do you need a motion?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the design contract for the trail phases 4 through 6.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Oppose? Okay, Joe.
Get this submitted to NDOT and, as soon as they give me the okay, then we'll execute the contract. So I'll see if I can catch up with some of you to sign this, unless you want to go ahead and sign it tonight. You can, and then I won't have to,
The contract?
chase you down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's only a place on there for 3 signatures of the council members. On page 17.
You may do it on my copy. Just,
Yeah, that's fine, whatever works. And then I'll wait to execute it with the contractor until after NDOT gives us our approval.
you want to-
Hey, Joe, so is the 175 gonna come from RDC?
I'm assuming so. Yeah, we'll ask the RDC for it since it is all TIF.
Do we
Well, the
wanna,
biggest part of that is the intersection.
do we wanna put that on the next agenda for them? Or,
I just pass it down to Joe, I
And it's
guess.
gonna be a while before the price comes.
Well, it's only 2 signatures, I think. Okay, up next, we have the first reading of the ordinance for sidewalk maintenance.
You need all.
3.
Is there 3?
So, Joe, I had a question or for whomever, I guess, about the first paragraph, 94.71A. General maintenance. It says here, we talked a little bit about this at the last meeting, but it says any owner of any such premises who shall allow any such sidewalk to remain in disrepair or in a dangerous condition shall be responsible and liable for injuries and damages arising out of the disrepair or unsafe condition of said sidewalk. And I want to get back to, people can't repair their own chunk of sidewalk, so how can they be responsible?
Well, if you'll remember at the last meeting, I brought up if they just notify us, let us know that it's dangerous or in bad shape. If it's bad shape, it's not going to be an emergency for us to get out and, fix if it's ugly. If it's a trip hazard or there's a chance that somebody's going to hurt themselves, then we're going to make it a priority and get out there to at least take the hazard away.
Well, so I have like at least a few other questions about that though, because I remember we talked about that, but the first thing is this language doesn't say that. So it doesn't give any instructions about the fact that homeowners should alert the town. It doesn't say how to alert the town. But then also, then if a homeowner does alert the town, this we talked about last time, how long does the town have to fix it? Because I would assume that if a homeowner sees that a chunk of the sidewalk in front of your house is like buckled up, it heaved from ice. If the homeowner alerts the town, I would assume that the homeowner's responsibility ends at that moment because they've alerted the town. And that would also have to be in this language. And then also, so I mean, I guess those are my couple of questions about the feedback loop, the whole matter of the homeowner alerting the town. And then also though, and by the way, I mean, I guess we would all have to agree that that's what that means, that as soon as the homeowner alerts the town, like that's, as long as there's a record of it. And that's the other thing, there would have to be a record because it can't just be that the person called the town and then, everybody's pointing fingers saying, we don't remember if you called. So there would have to be some way to verify that they alerted. And then finally, and I'm a little bit concerned about that whole workflow, but also it says here, such owner shall further indemnify and reimburse the town for any and all liability costs and expenses which the town might incur as a result of any such defective or dangerous sidewalk. So what does that mean? What is the property owner reimbursing the town for?
That was actually language put in by the attorney, put that in there, I think with the suggestion of the insurance company. I think that's the language that they wanted to see added. But as far as what they're liable for, I think pretty much the way I understand it is the fact that it makes it to where the town's not liable. So it would be on them to notify us and let us know if something needs to be prepared.
No, but this is saying the opposite of that. So if I'm the homeowner and there's a buckled up piece of sidewalk and somebody falls down, this language is saying they can sue me and I'm responsible and the town would not be found responsible. That's how I read that. But everything we just talked about just now about the workflow of the homeowner notifying the town that the sidewalk is messed up, that would place the responsibility on the town. And that's very important and that's not in there. So there would need to be language explaining how and when the homeowner should alert the town and the fact that their responsibility would be removed as soon as they alert the town and where's the record of it, where's the public record we can all go look at. And then the town would be responsible. So this is kind of saying the opposite of that. But aside from the liability, which is right there in the middle of the paragraph, that second sentence that I read out to you about the homeowner reimbursing the town, that's different. So what are they reimbursing the town for? To be honest with you, I can't really tell from this sentence what they're reimbursing the town for. It sounds like they're reimbursing the town for fixing the sidewalk. That can't be right.
Jacob, can you jump in here on this? Because
so-
I didn't write it. I don't know.
Well, this has been here for
Yeah,
a while,
I
I
am
think.
filling in for Alex tonight. So the way that this reads is if we're looking at that last sentence, so the homeowner is indemnifying the town for the liability costs and expenses which the town might incur as a result of any such defective or dangerous sidewalk. So if there is a presence of a defective or a dangerous sidewalk, if the town incurs any cost, liability as a result of that, that's the provision of the indemnity that they're indemnifying the town for.
So if the town should get sued because somebody fell down on the sidewalk, then the homeowner has to reimburse the town for their damages?
So the way that this reads is it puts the duty on the homeowner, because generally speaking, I mean, sidewalks are not always owned by the town. And so, for example, if it's a privately owned sidewalk, the town doesn't have any duty to repair that. And so that's effectively what this is doing. So HOAs often will require the homeowners to also require to fix the sidewalks and things of that nature. And so that's essentially what this is also doing here.
But the town isn't an HOA and it doesn't say privately owned sidewalk. In fact, I mean, the language that we had was much more straightforward and easier to read than this language. I mean, just personally, I prefer the original language. I don't know if we have that available, but it was much more straightforward. But the original language was establishing something else that wasn't really related to this. But still, Jacob, you're saying that the homeowner will reimburse the town for liability and costs. So in other words, if the town should get sued. I mean, this isn't written very well, do you think?
I mean, I didn't write it, but I think it kind of gets to the point. And so if we're certainly able to change it, this is first reading. And so if there's suggestions that you would like us to change, we can certainly look at that.
Well, the first distinction, I think, from what you're saying is, does the property owner own the sidewalk or does the town own the sidewalk? Do people know this? I don't have a sidewalk, but do people know whether they own the sidewalk in front of their house or not? Do
Good
you
question.
know? Does anybody know?
Do anybody know?
This general maintenance has been on here, Joe, hadn't that, that language has been there for a long time.
No, that's not in our current ordinance.
This right here,
The one that we've got
the
currently.
pathway,
Parkway maintenance.
the parkway
And
maintenance, yeah.
that doesn't go away. That stays. This.
Isn't this similar to that though, or is it the same?
This
Yeah.
is new. This is new because originally we had 94.61 Parkway
Yeah.
maintenance. And that basically said, keep your sidewalk and or patch of grass tidy. Like it basically said, keep it tidy. It didn't say anything about legal liability. And I understand why the insurance company would want to add that. But my general point here is that I don't see why homeowners should be responsible for liability for sidewalk in front of their house when a homeowner can't go.
I think
tear up the
yeah, it should
sidewalk.
specifically say, I guess, private property versus public property.
Yes, that
So-
would be a good distinction, but then also if it's your private property, I guess that's on you all the time. If it's public property, and then if the workflow that Joe, you're describing, if there's a workflow that comes in where the homeowner can alert the town and then the responsibility shifts to the town, that we would need to add. And also I disagree with this last sentence about the town reimbursing or the homeowner. I'm glad, Jacob, that you read it the same way that I do, but I don't agree with it. I don't think that a property owner should reimburse the town if the town gets sued and the town was at fault if they were liable.
Unless it is a private property.
I think that's probably, it feels like it's geared towards private property. It's just not worded that way.
Okay,
I mean,
but
yeah,
exactly, if it's private property and if
Yeah.
somehow the town is found at fault, then the homeowner would have to reimburse the town's, whatever the town got sued for, which is what the homeowner should have gotten sued for. I'm surprised this language came from an insurance company. It's very poorly written. I don't think it's very good at all. The original language we had was better, but it was just saying, keep your patch tidy. So,
It was kind of vague, I know. Just to give you another example, the Broadway corridor out here with all the new sidewalks that NDOT put in, those are owned by NDOT. They put them in, they paid for them. As soon as they're done and they walk away, they hand it to the town. Then the town is responsible for maintaining all those walks and taking care of them. If a big section gets busted up or needs repaired, we can reach out to NDOT and say, this is a large repair. And they'll probably be the ones to take care of that, just like out here. We're replacing sidewalks almost every year. We haven't gotten to the point to where we can just start replacing entire streets because it's so expensive. And we've got bad areas that we need to take care of first. But same principle that what this ordinance does is what NDOT, they have an ordinance that says that anything outside of the curb face with an NDOT right of way that goes through a municipality, the responsibility is on the municipality to maintain everything outside of that.
I think we should
That
have,
would make sense.
we should have a map that shows which sidewalks are owned by whom, like all the people on Merrill Street, do they own their sidewalk? Or is that owned by the town?
That's what I would wonder.
Well, they're probably in the town right away.
Yeah. I'd say most of the sidewalks are.
People know what that means? I mean, this is important because this is saying, you may or may not be legally responsible. If somebody falls down and wants to sue, that might be you, or it might not be. We need to give adequate information.
For example, like when I built my house, I had a truck bust out 2 slabs of the sidewalk, so it was my responsibility to replace that.
You broke it. I mean.
I broke it, but
Somebody
it doesn't
broke it.
belong to me.
Right.
It doesn't belong to me, but I still had to replace it because a contractor broke it. So that even goes a little bit deeper here than what's here.
That actually is like a different case and would also be.
So it is vague. The maintenance part of it, I think, is probably a little bit vague and needs to be looked at a little bit closer.
I did. Duke truck backed over the sidewalk, big busted sidewalk right where he drove over it. So I pointed it out to him. He was taking pictures. He was gonna turn it into his people to come and take care of it. If not, it'll be on the homeowner that hired them to come in and do the work.
Yeah, so I think that whole paragraph needs
What I
to,
don't like about this uh, is that, we're only replacing we got $50,000 a year we put in the budget. But when you go back the past 20 years, we haven't caught up with that 800 linear feet because there were some years we didn't replace any, and it's way behind. And if you look at your projections, I left them at home. It's like we would never be able to catch up with the sidewalks at 833 linear feet at 50,000. We're gonna have to increase that budget or look at maybe the TIF taking care of some of the sidewalks that are on Main Street. Because we built that brand new apartment complex, North Main. That's all in the TIF. Can they pay for some of those sidewalks? Jacob?
I mean, if it's an improvement within the TIF area, then it's certainly something they could look at.
So there's plenty of sidewalks there that can be replaced from Main all the way to the apartment complex. Because they're in bad shape. I mean, it's real
That
bad.
if district doesn't run, the Main Street and the apartments don't connect. So there's two different TIF.
Okay.
So there's an area in
Sidewalks
between.
are- The whole section's bad.
It's within the TIF on Main Street, I think, has already been paid, and then the RDC actually did pay the cut of that.
Okay,
But is
I think we need to, maybe next year, try to maybe double our budget on
I have no
sidewalks to even
objections
get
to
caught
doing that.
up.
I mean, the more money you give me, the more like the happier everybody will be.
Because I mean, what Fritz is saying, would you agree, Joe? Like, are we keeping up with fixing sidewalks?
'Cause you got
rapidly, or are we falling behind with fixing sidewalks?
It depends on what kind of a standard you want to have at the, I mean, you want everything tip top, looking beautiful, like it's brand new, like a new subdivision.
Could somebody,
We're a
fall-
long way for that.
somebody fall and sue you? I guess according to the standard
If
established.
you're looking at the dangerous and hazardous areas, those have been dealt with for the most part. For some areas, I mean, it might be a section of walk that's got a tripping point that'll either get ground down or they'll paint it, put some barricades until we can get back and replace it. Or we'll take this section of walk out and stone it to make it smooth for people to cross. Typically, if there's a section that's heaved up, missing, stoned in, or whatever, those are gonna be the priorities. Those hazardous ones will be the ones that will be dealt with first.
Right, but is there is there a standing backlog of, buckled up sidewalks
Not
that
really.
people, that present trip hazards, in other words?
Most of the ones we identify, we go out and we look at them pretty close. If they're like 3/4 or 1 inch, we'll put them on a list. A lot of times we can go out and grind them down and buy some time on that. But for the most part, a lot of them that we have marked as maybe the top is spalled and come up off, the surface popped off of us. It doesn't look very good. Or sometimes it's the elevation of the wall. It's fine, it's smooth, but it might be low. And when it rains, it gets water on it, gets mud on it, and creates some slick spots. So there's so many variables to.
So you're saying that you don't have a standing backlog of unmitigated trip hazards in the
Trip
sidewalks?
hazards, if there are, there's few.
A few, like 3, like in town? What's a few?
I didn't bring the
Yeah,
list.
I just mean, well, I think together, if you put together what Fritz is saying, what I'm saying, I would guess that the majority of all sidewalks are public and owned by the town. I don't know, but I would sort of guess, when you put aside like, neighborhoods and cul-de-sacs and stuff, probably most of the sidewalks are owned by the town. And if the town has any kind of backlog of trip hazards in the sidewalks that we're not getting to, which is kind of what Fritz is saying, then I would think that the thrust of paragraph A here should be the town is responsible. And it is the homeowner's obligation, if anything, to alert the town if they see that something is wrong with it. But I would think the town is responsible.
We try to take care of those trip hazards as quick as we can. If anybody sees any, notify us, let us know. I know Libby did tell us one about one on Stat Street, and I met out there with the guys that were supposed to work on it today. I don't know where they got to it or not, but they're supposed to
Right,
at least barricade it or do something to bring it to people's attention when they come by.
right. I'm just saying that together, Fritz and I are observing that if anything, like it really is probably not the majority case where the homeowner would really be at fault for any of this, because most of these sidewalks, I think, are owned by the town. And the town is bearing the responsibility for repairing them on time. And if you have a little bit of them that haven't been fixed yet at any given time. And that's why I read this paragraph and I just kind of rejected it in my mind. I thought it can't be possible that homeowners are responsible for all this.
So I was just wondering if somebody has a basketball goal in the sidewalk or they leave their kids' toys and I trip on it, is that the town's responsibility? I mean, then when does the homeowner get involved if it's not in this literature?
Language, which I guess is still staying, although I couldn't really tell because we're only looking at this one, but 94.61 said, keep your sidewalk tidy, which maybe it could even be augmented to say like free of obstructions, you know? So
We've got a chapter in there too that talks about obstructions over sidewalk.
yeah, so for this, so for 94.71A, I think first you need to make the distinction public versus private sidewalks. And then public, you know, it's like a little flow chart, and public sidewalk, it's the town's responsibility. And the homeowner really should notify the town. Maybe we add something about that. And if it's private sidewalk, it's always the property owner's responsibility with the reimbursement thing, I suppose. And then also maybe to Tanya's point, we could add something to say, you know, obviously if you damage town-owned property, you have to pay for it, you know, to fix it. Or however, you know, whatever's the recommendation about how to handle that.
I just have to say, if you lived here 40 years ago,
Oh, they were bad.
they were awful. My sidewalk that I grew up on from Elm Street to Walnut Street was the most disastrous thing, and I learned how to roller skate on that thing. And it was like a death trap. I mean, there was not a flat part on the sidewalk at all.
When I
None.
first started here, the kids would take their bikes up and down and walk, especially like on South Main and on the south end of town,
Yeah,
because all the tree roots, and they were heaved up, I'm talking 6 to 8 inches.
big
So
time.
there were ramps everywhere, all this.
Yeah, it was
But we
kind of
got,
challenging.
we took care of all that.
Yeah, it looks a lot better than it did then. Just saying.
What about with the rest of this? Anybody have any questions about the rest of it? I will be. As I said, actually, personally.
So I have questions about the next part.
All right, that's what I was waiting on.
All right. 94.71B, snow removal. So this part, so we added a part saying the town is going to take care of plowing the sidewalks on Main Street and the north side of Broadway. But then it goes on and says, you know, the homeowners are going to be responsible. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but it's saying that the property owners are going to be responsible and you have 72 hours and there's a fee schedule, $100, $250, $500 for first, second, third offenses. And I mentioned this last time, I would just reiterate this. I'm fine with saying, you know, hey, everything that's not those two streets, it's the homeowner's responsibility. I don't mind clarifying that. I don't think that we should have a deadline in fees. I don't think that we would enforce it consistently, and I think people would come to feel like they're targeted and they would start complaining. So that's my 2 cents on that. I think it suffices to say, you know, the town is taking care of the downtown area as a service. And then everybody else, you know, please meet us halfway and take care of your stuff. I think that's sufficient, but
there'll be those people that won't because nobody told them they had to.
and there are those people.
There's no penalty for not doing it. You know, the ones that don't want to do it will be that way.
Well, I've been asking around for feedback because I could see it both ways. I could see, you know, people don't want to be hassled eternally or have certain people be targeted, you know, over this. I don't think we envision that Jerry's going to walk around, you know, like looking at snow and writing tickets to everybody. But on the other hand, some people just truly never, ever clear their snow and it becomes a safety hazard eventually because you have to detour off into the road and now you're in the road with cars. So I could see it both ways. I think it's genuinely a thing that I'm interested in discussion on, but I personally tend toward, you know, maybe add just the guidance language and add more notifications online and leave it at that. And then if there's a problem, revisit it in a year or two, but I'm open.
Yeah, because if he's gonna go and write one person up, they're just gonna say, what about this guy? What about this guy? What about the other 4,000 people
they do now.
in town? It would be almost impossible to enforce that.
Yeah, and unlike grass being 6 inches high versus 7 inches high, everybody knows whether you have plowed your snow or not. You know, it'd be much easier to see if that's being enforced consistently.
I guess I would defer to the attorney as far as the pertinent language and any changes that might work or should be changed or shouldn't be changed.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think it's within the council's discretion about whether or not it wants to impose a fine as a result of this. And as far as the timing goes, I mean, I've seen some that actually go, say, 24 hours, you have to allow it. So, I mean, there's a range that you guys can evaluate. But as far as the timing and the fine, I mean, that's completely up to the town as far as what they find as proper.
So you have a town that gives 24 hours. And you gotta move that snow, even if you're like in the hospital or.
Which town is this?
I think it's cool.
Carmel, of course. Carmel doesn't plow its own city sidewalks sometimes. I used to live there. Well,
But I mean, you know, it's not just Carmel. I mean, this is a pretty common thing that municipalities enact as far as just general maintenance. You know, it's a safety hazard if your folks aren't regularly keeping areas clean. So for example, snow, or, you know, if you have a branch that falls down, and it's kind of operating somewhat similarly. So, and again, you know, to the extent that you have a regulation without any teeth to it, you know, that may not kind of kick people in gear
I
to
mean,
move forward.
I
and
don't
actually
think,
do it.
I don't think Jerry can write up the amount of citations.
if he were to do it consistently, it would be hard. And I read an article that said that Indianapolis does not write tickets against their own ordinance because they found that the judges were dismissing it in court.
Well, they quit plowing their streets, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't want to necessarily be like Indianapolis.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that I've seen people sent me articles when this topic first came up a couple months ago. People were sending me articles saying other municipalities don't even bother writing tickets against their own ordinances. And so why would we think it would be any different for us? I don't know.
I think we need to help the department, just to ticket people and to collect money, because I tried to walk a few miles every day. I couldn't walk any of the sidewalk in town because none of the law. That would be almost.
Yeah, I
Need to ticket them then.
So you just walk behind me as I go along shuffling the sidewalks.
Why does that mean?
Maybe something like this would promote, I just, you know, when we lived in the neighborhood, we cleaned 2 streets of driveways for people. You know, maybe it would promote people looking ahead and saying, okay, well, you're my neighbor and this guy's got a snow blower. Let's get him to do this and we'll cook him dinner or whatever. I mean, this is something maybe that would promote that discussion. So
Great, I like that idea. I actually shoveled off most of Merrill this winter, like between Garden Street and Broadway, because I like to walk that way and I don't want to have to go out in the road, so I just did it. And just for reference, nobody came and thanked me or anything. Nobody found me about it, you know, but I'm with what Tanya just said. I want to find whatever is the right path to get people to want to chip in and help each other. So is the right path to find them, or is the right path to just advise and hope and send?
and you have to think, I mean, some people just don't care. And they don't, you know, I could say the same thing because I'm not going to go out and walk in it, but if I did, I'd be prepared to walk in it, but not everybody's like that. So I just don't think, but some people just don't care whether they do it or not. Yeah. And some can't, and some don't know their neighbors, so they can't ask them, but you know, I did it whether we knew them or not, you know. It just takes a certain person to be able to do that. But I mean, I think it's good to have the verbiage there.
Gone are the days of newspapers and being
Yeah.
able to communicate to our community that way.
Unfortunately,
We
yeah.
rely on Facebook, and a lot of our residents don't even have the internet. So,
Right. They're kind of left out in the dark.
I'm a big fan of putting stuff in our water bill, and I don't know if people read it or not, but it's something that goes out to everyone where we can post it. If we had those information boards out,
Or maybe they could call the town. I mean, that's another thing. I think if I was I'm gonna just say this, if I was an elderly person living alone and I didn't have any family, I would call the town and ask them, is there somebody that could come and help me do this? But people just leave it undone because people allow them to leave it undone. You know, I would seek out somebody to do it.
I think that's a wonderful idea. I know, last year after the big snow came, it seemed like a day or two after I went up to the north side of town, and most people up on the north side had everything cleaned off. It's just part of the southern part and part of the old town that didn't seem like anybody was interested in getting out and trying to move that snow. But I think if it's if the requirement is in the ordinance, that gives us a little bit of meat when we try to do a public information thing, let everybody know. Not only is it courteous thing to do for your neighbors and for the people walking around, it's also a requirement.
I think that's good. And then Pat had a good suggestion, maybe instead of fining the first offense,
Yeah.
a nice polite letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we help you find somebody to do it for you?
On
That's-
any
yeah.
ordinance in the
I mean,
town,
by the time they would get it, it would be spring, but
Yeah. on any ordinance, when there's a new ordinance, I tell all my guys, whether it's a speed limit change or whatever, go out and give warnings. It's information. Like stop the car, tell them they're speeding. Hey, here's your warning. Don't do it again.
I agree.
That way,
Yeah.
You know, when school starts every year, they hit the school zones pretty hot and heavy. And they're told to go give warnings to let people know, hey, school's back in session, time to slow back down. I'd like to see that. And then I know the county does. So the county has an on-call, like if somebody needs assistance, or they have one if somebody needs wild game and somebody hits something on the roadway, there's an on-call, like maybe the elderly people we could set up something in the town to where it would be, hey, you know, we got these 10 kids that want to do a project together and they can just put their name in the town hall, and when we receive calls, they can send them off to Mr. Smith's house. or
Great
whatever.
idea.
That,
That's a
that
great
is
idea.
that something
So-
we organize, or how does that get organized?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Dispatch does that, and they have a list of who they call. Like if they need a tractor to go get something out of a field, dispatch will call the closest farmer that has a tractor that can go do that. Or, you know, off-road vehicles or boats. If there's water emergencies, who has boats available and things like that. Maybe the town of Fortville could think about putting something together of like, hey, if we have a elderly person that needs their grass mowed and there's a young man that wants to go help the community out, or a Boy Scout or something, we could put.
They could just call in and we could make a
We could call
list.
in, make a list, and then say, hey,
Yeah.
can you go help Mr. Smith out over here? Cause he had back
Yeah.
surgery, can't mow his grass this month.
That I attended a while back did that, like where after the snow, people would just sign up saying like, here's my address.
Right.
Please come.
We
pick the
have,
snow.
some of the different churches here in town have done that intermittent over the years. They would help with people have tree limbs or brush and trash and mowing grass.
Maybe
and-
Jerry could do that.
Well, either that or the trustee's office would be good, because that would be a.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
centralized
Sure.
location for people to
That
go.
might be the best way to do it anyway.
Whether it's manual labor or whether it's financial or food, they all have one.
That might be the
Correct.
best thing. Have
I'll
them
get with
call.
Florida,
Yeah.
talk to her about that, and.
And she would probably have people
Yeah,
already
she
that would
probably
be,
has a million names.
that would actually do the work. I mean, she knows a lot of people.
Yeah,
That's a
I'll
good
reach-
idea.
I'll reach out to Florida in
I
the
think
next
that's
week or
good.
so and try to set up a meeting so we can talk about that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So I think the pedestrian route thing's okay. I told him to add the Broadway because it kind of got dropped off. Just
the-
got
the north
confused
side
here a
of
little
Broadway.
bit, so
But it,
I think it's on here now. Yeah, here it is. Joe put it on here. Yeah.
but still though, just to like revisiting the south side of Broadway, because you can't actually get across the street very easily if the south side is unplowed. And so Joe, you were saying back earlier in the winter, it's too narrow for the machines you have. But is there any thought of seeing about a smaller machine, or is it just, we're just not
I
doing?
think Heath was gonna research that. I think that's something that we talked about when he was here.
Could you take an action to get Heath to look at that?
So the pedestrian route, we could change at any time. We might want to,
Yeah, we can.
later down the road, there might be something else too. We want to include the trails when they lead to somewhere.
Yeah.
And other things would be, added to this as a pedestrian route or travel route.
Yeah, I just meant in terms of if a different machine is needed or whatever Heath signed up to go look into, it's, I don't know, April now, and it takes like 6 months to go figure it out. And, maybe you should get started doing that in a couple months. I don't know. It seems like a busy time of year for him. I just wanted to bring it up again. I think it's still a good idea to try to do the south side of Broadway, because otherwise everybody who lives on Broadway or has a business there is back stuck, plowing everything. I think it's still a good idea to try to do. They'll get the tickets, I guess. I don't know. So, all right. I think the first paragraph needs to be rewritten, but I'm okay with the snow part myself, with Chief Bratton's idea of the first defense advisory.
And just for the record, that's typically the way we handle all penalties. We always reach out to them first and have a conversation.
Yeah, they don't, yeah. I think we have several conversations. Okay, so I guess we could have Alex take a look at that first paragraph A again.
Jacob, you taking notes on that for Alex?
Yeah, I got
Are you
it.
gonna pass it on?
Yeah, I will.
Thank
Okay,
And so,
Okay.
just for the record, so it sounds like there's gonna be, some more reworking, so I guess my recommendation is that we table this into a future meeting rather than vote on. first
Yeah,
reading at this point.
yeah.
I agree.
Do a little bit of work. So I guess we should have a motion to table it.
With the motion to table.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to table the first reading of an ordinance for sidewalk maintenance.
Second.
All in favor?
I
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We'll table that to the next meeting. Well, I guess until Alex gets it ready. Whenever that will be. Okay, next up, no old business. Joe, you got anything else for us?
Turn my mic on so you guys can hear me. Things are still moving along at the water treatment plant. The iron levels are showing up low on all of our test results, so we're very encouraged and waiting for, I believe, the contractor to come up with pricing and design for the permanent fixture and then IDM approval to mount it and make that happen. I know that tomorrow they've got crews coming out to inspect the filters. They're gonna take the doors, the hatch off, I guess, and check the media, make sure that the media is all still in place, and if there's anything that needs to be added. And each year you lose a little bit of that media out of the filter, so they need to add to it periodically. So that's something that they're gonna check on. We got some we had some rain over the weekend. Ponds overflowing, the sewer plant, it just got to where they might as well just shut the plant down because they couldn't treat anything. It was just so much clear water coming through, it wasn't funny. And since I did bring that up, I want to remind anybody and everybody, if you've got a sump pump, make sure it's not going into the sanitary sewer because that overflows the system quickly. Downspouts, yard drains, anything like that. We need to make sure that the sanitary sewer is only taken in sanitary. So other than that, that's all I've got, unless you got something for me.
Joe, I would just say, I'm glad that you put some stones out in the potholes on Garden Street that I asked you about, but the cars are just turning the stones out as they turn right. So it's just getting like scattered everywhere, just now that I think of it.
Yeah,
What's-
that's something. The asphalt plant's open, so we can dig out a bigger portion of that to put something that's gonna stay in there.
Because I keep scooping I keep walking by and doing this. Okay, so you'll fix that. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
I think our streets look really good comparing to Marion County, I'm just gonna say. Yeah. Carroll Road,
It's really bad.
it's like whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anything like that. You have to stop and wait for another car to pass.
The contractor is gonna be working on Timber Ridge and I'm real anxious to get that started. And once we get that project started, well, it's actually closer to getting it done with all the concrete work and everything. I'll find out how many from that project, then maybe we could do some additional sidewalks beyond just the Timber Ridge subdivision.
So I don't know if our committee is responsible for this, but the banners that are gonna go up in May, the hometown hero banners. Are we, I think the Legion or the VFW is in charge of doing more banners. I'm talking right into it. Can you not hear it this way? I will turn my head this way, but I'm talking to him.
I couldn't really hear it either.
I'm talking about our committee. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Our committee that Joe and I solely are members of, and anyone who wants to join can join. And I was asking if the VFW, who is in charge of those banners for the hometown heroes, if they are selling more that we know of. Are we going to fill all of the,
I don't know if we're gonna get them all filled this year, but it's my understanding they are selling a few more.
if they aren't going to fill all of them, maybe the farmer's market could purchase some, any other things? Maybe
Um,
our Summer
I
Fest,
think-
Winter Fest, we could put on banners or something?
Judge Brooks was got, he said that kind of, the Legion didn't get involved in the last time. They can fill them up. The Legion said they could. You have to get all Scott.
Thomas Bonnet and for the ladies that put on the banners first place. He had them last week.
Okay, yeah. Then they're all in. Okay, thank you.
So we're gonna include Broadway now with we'll be able, hope we have enough to put. Yeah.
Down and down Maple Street. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
that'd be
Down
nice.
Maple Street?
Yeah.
The trail, there's, all those poles have. We should go count them someday, committee.
That's a lot of banners.
You know how much longer on the State Road 13 project? You know how much longer that's? So I literally can't back out on the driveway at times of the day.
And as soon as they get that bridge, start close. It's a street here in town.
It's not gonna end.
They're replacing all the ADA ramps and
It gets really busy. And
it's hard getting, and I don't know.
Mhm.
Adam, you got anything for us?
I mean, unless, excuse me, you have any questions on anything?
Heath is not here. Patrick?
Yes. I put a provision quote in front of all of you. We're currently having problems we purchased a new server last year. And we're having problems retaining our body cam footage on that server the way we need it and for it to delete properly. Provision to where we buy our body cams from. And originally when we bought them, they didn't have a storage capacity. Like they didn't have that built into their marketing, but now they do. And I need to switch those over so we can have accurate body cam footage and it can purge when we need it to purge and retain videos. Cause right now, I don't know what's going on, but we can't, like some guys can't access them. Certain days they work, certain days they don't. I don't know. So, I've reached out to Beth and I know there's money in my budget that's available. I just want to make sure that this is going to be sustainable. It's $14,400 a year for the storage of all the body cam videos. But I wanted to and this is this is their cheapest plan and it's an unlimited plan for 5 years. So they're not charging us like if you go over on your phone minutes or whatever, then they upcharge for everything. So this is completely unlimited. As long as Beth says this is sustainable over the next 5 years, I would like approval to go ahead and get this switched over so we don't have body cam issues and it's hard getting stuff to the prosecutor and evidence and it's been an ongoing headache for quite some time. So this is I've quoted 2 other sources and they're well above the $40,000 a year mark. And this is the vendor we use anyway that has the hardware, the same as our hardware. So
Is 20 gonna be enough?
it should be. Currently we have 17 officers that have I don't have a body camera because I don't generally work the street. I get called in. I'm kind of a reactionary backup guy. But all the officers that work the road or in the schools, they all have body cameras.
So
So
you'll
I have
have,
17 currently in service. I still have plans to put on my 2 new officers this year, so that would be 19, and that would give us 1 spare in case something goes down or gets broken, that we would have that ability to have 20 total.
okay, thank you.
So I was trying to expand it out, to where I made sure I had enough plus a backup in case something were to happen.
Okay.
So as long as Beth says that this is sustainable for the next 5 years, is council okay with me going ahead and switching everything over?
How much was it, now?
Right now, we store all our
do we pay?
videos in-house on a server that we purchased, which we just purchased one last year. We purchased one, 3 years before that?
Something like that.
And then when we got body cams, we built one. And currently they're saying we're gonna need to purchase another one.
Oh, okay.
34 terabyte server, which
Yeah.
this is all, they take care of all that. So I'm not gonna have to keep
Oh,
buying
good.
servers and upgrading servers and then worrying about if it's Siege is compliant. Anything like that. This meets all our compliancy through the state and through the national systems. Completely secure, and it's for our PD only, and we have the ability to share with prosecutors or defense attorneys or whatever by sending them a link.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So if council's okay for me to do that, and Beth says that that's okay, I can either bring it back to the next meeting, or if you okay it, then I can just go ahead and get it going.
I say get it going.
We had 4 days last week, we couldn't access anything.
Yeah.
At all, because stuff was locked up and we couldn't get.
You guys aren't tech guys. You shouldn't be doing that anyway.
No,
Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
I would appreciate a motion to be able to do this. Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the provision monthly body cam storage for a 5-year period. What's the total?
It's $1,200 a month for 20 body cams.
$1,200 a month for 20 body cams.
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There you go, Patrick.
Thank you. I got 2 other things. But they're quick. I'll have my end of quarter report to you guys by the end of the week for review for the next meeting. That way, if you have any questions, we can bring it up the next meeting. I'll have the public report out the table at the next meeting for you guys. And then I will not be here on the May 5th meeting. We have our annual Hancock County Law Enforcement fishing event that we always go to, that all the cops in the county go to, and we go wreck cabins and have a good time. So that's where I'll be. And that's all I got, unless you have questions.
Oh, well, I had one question. Do you have any comment about what went on at the joint? Because Facebook wants to know.
Only thing I can say is that's an active investigation. They were sent a cease and desist letter 2 years ago by our prosecutor. They did not cease and desist what our prosecutor was requesting. A judge signed off on a warrant allowing us to go seize certain products. We went and seized certain products, and the investigation is still ongoing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to thank Patrick for saving us for the dog and animal control fee that we were going to get charged. So far, hopefully it stays that way, but we were in risk of paying $32,000 for animal management for our 30-some visits that they never come. Our police officers handle them. They are the dog catchers, and they won't even come to Fortville unless we catch the dog first. So we were able to meet with one of the commissioners, and Patrick came with all of his information and was able to show that. So hopefully they'll go back to the drawing board and look at something differently to approach the towns with. I don't mind paying for what we use, but we certainly don't get the service that they're asking us to pay for. Yeah. So thanks, Patrick. And Adriana, do you have anything?
I do not, unless you guys have any questions for me.
I don't. Jacob, do you have anything to add?
I don't. Thanks all.
Okay, public comment?
Bob Starrett. I just have, I'm hoping for some good news. I saw there's a pending sign down here at the corridor properties. Is something new happening down there?
Where?
Right.
It's
properties.
a little Loft property, the South Madison.
Oh, yeah,
Boulevard.
Michaud's
So
property
they've
Yeah.
got another
offer.
offer. They got, yeah, they're,
So that's something that would end up where the
South Madison.
thing that ended.
Yeah.
Okay.
and it should be, there was a
organization.
there was a PED developed to help dictate what goes in there. So that PED is still in place. So if, unless they come in and try to get a PD amendment, they're gonna have to build similar to what, what's in that PED now.
I was hoping that's what it was.
Intent.
Thanks.
Sorry, Adam, that was probably it.
Anybody else?
Sharon Beedson. I just have two things. I'm so glad to hear that you are working on our sidewalks because we promote in our town that we're walkability and we have good walkability, except for the few sidewalks that are, but I mean, I've been here over 20 years and I haven't seen, I have, but you have fixed them. But I'm sure in some of the neighborhoods that I don't travel in, I'm sure they have problems there too. So I think it's a good thing that you guys are doing maintenance on all of them because people want to walk. And that's what we're promoting in our community, that we are walkable. So we need to be safe. So that's good for the sidewalks. I'm all for that. The other thing, I'm sorry, what?
Curse.
Yes, we do, of all sizes. The other thing I'd like to mention is I have a question about, is there a timeline for the side or the street lights on Broadway, the old ones to be removed or shut down? Are we paying for that electricity that's going to those extra lights when we have our new beautiful ones on site?
Except to those to LEDs.
So they'll look like the
So they'll be the
lights, the
same.
new lights.
They'll be the
The
same.
light color will be the same because now they're yellow. Yeah, so they'll be white now, just like the lights, the new lights.
Oh, do we need it?
Intersections, I think so. Yeah.
On the
yeah.
other side of Maple Street, everything is off to one side of the road. And there's no lights. There's very few lights on the south side, so tall lights help. Stream.
Yeah. And they're doing that for free.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah. It-
Beautiful.
Any of the lights that they're replacing in town too, because I know I called them the one on our street and they put a nice new LED light in it, so.
LED is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Well, I thought of something else. Do we have any electric hookups in the plans for cars or downtown on any out and about? Our town has no electric hookup.
We had that conversation once before. It's
There was-
super expensive. Yeah, we're hoping they're just gonna come in and Tesla's gonna come in.
There are
and push them out.
There are,
Do that.
there are companies that'll do it for free. There are companies that will put those in for free because they approached me to put them in at Denver's, but it would take up too many parking spaces because of the width. But there are companies out there, but you sign a contract, but then they deal with the billing on that product.
Homes that are being built all around us. Surely someone of them will want to have an electric hookup in their home.
Oh, yeah, you can.
You
do
can-
that.
yeah, they
you
do
can
that
have
now.
Already, you just
Okay,
tell the builder,
okay.
have that installed.
But it does take up a parking space when you put it,
Because I'm-
but we can't spare them right now.
You can have a hookup at probably electric. control.
So my pickup would be standing out under the tree and, my
Well-
next car's not gonna be electric. It's gonna
Like I say, I know somebody the electrician will hook you up.
I bet I could find one of those too.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Anybody else? Okay. Libby?
I had my Hancock County meeting, and we're having a collection event April 26th. It's at the Elanco building, and they're taking hazardous waste, electronics, document shredding, tires, and like text paint. And there's a charge for some of those things. So I've got a little card if anybody wants to. I've got 2 cards.
They still charge for
Only 2
TVs.
people can have them. Huh?
They still charge for TVs, don't they?
Yeah, that's an electronic.
Yeah.
So TVs are 5 each if they're smaller than 32 inch. They'll take anything.
But you gotta pay
You
for
gotta
it.
pay for it. So the most,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They're hard to get rid of.
and I'm sending my husband, so if you want to send stuff with him.
Is,
Drop it off at
You
the
know-
front porch.
Just call my husband. His number is no.
Libby, it'd be a good time to also mention, if you're gonna go bring a device, like, if it's memory, if there is any, because the Elanco
smart.
building is right next to the Chinese company.
Oh, is it?
And so,
I
yeah, it
thought-
is, Elanco is right next to BWI, Beijing West Industries in Greenfield.
It's across the highway, isn't it?
I think, no, I think they're right next to each other in the same industrial park, and so it just crosses my mind. I'm not saying that there's anything weird about dropping a lot of electronics next to a Chinese company, but erase the memory.
Okay.
Oh, that's all
Just
set.
in case you guys were wondering, Best Buy also does recycle all electronics. So if that is a concern, you can
Mhm.
just take your electronics to Best Buy. They will recycle TVs, everything.
On this park survey master plan scope, is he gonna be here to next? Cause this thing starts in March, no, I mean, in May. And key leadership interview focus groups. Who's he gonna have for that? 'Cause I think a lot of people were. FAI, did you know that the focus group's gonna start next month? On the
Well,
park,
that's their target. I don't know that they've set the date yet, have they?
well, in here it does,
It's a target. Yeah, it says May.
so it might be June.
I don't know how far along they are.
Okay.
But I'm sure once they get it, we'll be able to let everybody know in plenty of time. Because they want to have people there, so.
I'll just give you a copy of this, what I got after the meeting. All right, thanks.
All right, you got anything?
I do not.
I have nothing. Vanessa,
No, no, thank you.
Fritz,
No, that's the only question I had about here. Thank you.
need a motion to approve and sign vouchers, please.
I'll make a motion to approve and sign vouchers.
I don't think I
A
got.
second,
Oh, second.
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And motion to adjourn at 7:47.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.